3,400 years ago in the book of Leviticus is the very first documented time that a facility inspection was ever written down. The process for it. What was that process? Observe, document, re-engage, input, reassess, input. You know what hasn't changed in 3,400 years? That process. How many of you do that today? I did for 28 years as a carpenter in Louisiana into the workplace experience manager from Microsoft. I did that same process. Observe, document, transcribe, input, over and over and over. My technicians became data entry clerks. They weren't HVAC techs. They weren't maintenance and reliability professionals. They were data entry personnel. Our backlogs grew, our assets failed, and we got asked why. We've heard that story so many times today, right? In the opening talk, in the keynote, in all of the panels throughout, we've heard this time and time again. From the Greeks to the Romans to the Industrial Revolution to today, we haven't changed the process. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because for the first time in 3,400 years, we have an opportunity to change that process. Now, before we dive in really deep, I want to give us a roadmap for where we're going to go today, the things we're going to talk about, so that we're all on the same page. We're going to get aligned on the definitions. What is an asset? There's a ton of definitions. We're going to talk about that. What is AI? A ton of people have a ton of different understandings because there's different types of AI. So we're going to look at that. Then we're also going to look at some very sobering McKinsey research. McKinsey's done a ton of research on AI readiness in organizations, and I think the information I'll share is going to surprise you. Third, we're going to talk about a massive gap forming between AI-ready organizations and those that are not, and why it matters to those of us in this room. Finally, I'm going to share some real-world examples, actual deployments of enterprise-level AI at scale that have seen incredible results and returns. Hopefully at the end we'll have some time for some questions, but if not, I'm here all week, and I'm happy to meet up with anybody afterwards to talk about anything. I'm not going to try to sell you that AI is your savior, because everybody's going to use it different, or you're not going to use it at all. My goal for today is to give you information to make a better informed decision for you and your organizations. All right? So what's an asset? Anybody?
Something costs you money that you need to run your business.
Yeah. We've got ISO definitions, ASTM definitions, APA definitions, or SMRP. There's thousands of definitions, but when you boil it all down, Bailey tells us an operational definition of an asset is anything you would miss, you would pay for to replace, or you must maintain to deliver your mission is an asset. Could be an HVAC unit or a garbage truck, it's an asset. To this hotel, the alarm clocks that used to sit on your nightstands were assets. So think about that. And those of us in this room, we think like assets in that granular level, but they can also be the building itself, a portfolio of buildings, a street. Remember, anything you would miss, pay to replace, or you have to maintain to deliver your mission. That is how we're talking about assets for the context of this conversation. We can go out in the hallway and debate it later, but for this conversation, that's how I want to kind of think about it. All right. We were talking about the evolution of asset data capture, but really it's a much bigger problem. Like I was saying in the beginning, it's a data capture problem, not just about assets. It transcends all industries because everybody does this the same way. So I want to ask another question. It's not a Mentimeter poll, but just a quick show of hands. Who knows what AI is and how it works?
Really?
Yeah, I don't know
Too
either. Some people think it's magic. Some people think it's the Terminator. It's somewhere in between. Yes, it does things auto-magically, but it is not magic. It's just math. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's simply a computer that can perform functions that used to be required to have a human brain perform. Does that make sense? So now we can have computers do things that we used to have to do. It's no different from moving from the abacus to the calculator, the horse and buggy to the automobile. It's just a change in how we're doing things. There's a lot of risk in it, and we're not going to get into that. We're not going to get into corporate global governance and any of that. We're going to stay at the very high level of what we're talking about today, because I don't want to get bogged down in the weeds and not be able to deliver the meaningful, actionable items that you all deserve. So what we're talking about today is a way to make our jobs simpler and put us back in the roles and our teams in the roles that we were hired to do. Like I was saying, no more data entry clerks. Let's get the technicians back to turning wrenches, all right? Let's get the management team the information and insights they need to ask the C-suite for what is required to deliver the mission. It's going to augment our ability, make us better, faster, and smarter than we were before. It helps us do things we didn't think possible yesterday. I'm a carpenter. I came up building houses in South Louisiana. I am not a tech bro from Silicon Valley. I'm probably the farthest thing from a tech bro in Silicon Valley. Not that there's anything wrong for those guys. They're great. My COO is one of them. He's not from Silicon Valley, he's from Florida. Close enough. But I feel like I'm like living proof of what AI can do. It helped me learn how to deliver a solution to a problem that so many people experience. All right, there's our Mentimeter quiz. Let me advance the questionnaire, which is here. Stop giving me pop-ups. Just advance the slide. Next. Who's using what AI tools now? Are you using LLMs, note takers, image recognition, predictive, agentic, and we're going to define all these in a minute. So just kind of want to get a baseline of who's using what today. So we got a lot of people using large language models, some folks using note takers, one person using image recognition, kudos, and several of you not using anything. No shame in any of this, right? Because we all started somewhere. 2 years ago, I didn't know what AI was either. And today I'm giving a presentation on it. So we like to define AI in 4 simple types. Again, not going to get down into the science, into the data weeds. 4 simple types. You've got language models. Language types of AI are fluent in human, and I say that because they vary in language, right? So they're fluent in human. They can read, they can write, they can speak. These are your ChatGPTs, your Geminis, your large language models that you interface with, or don't, on a regular basis. The second type are vision-based AI systems. These can see, right? They understand visual context, and they can help deliver insights on that. Anyone who's ever used Google Lens to identify a flower for your kid, or right? That's vision-based AI. So you have used AI, even if you don't know it. It's baked into so many things today. Next is predictive machine learning. And I have a little example I like to use for this one. because it's one of the oldest types of AI that is actually out there. It's been around for decades. NASA used it to put the lander on the moon, believe it or not. They were using AI in the 50s and 60s. Very simple. When you leave your house and Google Maps, Waze, or Apple Maps, whatever navigation, it routes you the most efficient way based on factors. Traffic, time of day, weather, your driving habits, right? It's predicting the most logical way for you to go in the shortest amount of time, saving fuel, etc. That is a form of predictive analytics, predictive machine learning models that can tell you how to get where you need to go. Very simple definitions that we can all relate to. Now the next one is, there's one other thing about predictive and machine learning models. This is how AI can get smarter. It's also how AI can get dumber. If you put the wrong or bad data in, it's gonna make it dumber. So just keep that in mind too as you're talking about and thinking about machine learning. Last but not least is the scary AI, agentic AI, right? These are the Terminator robots that are gonna take over the world. No, they're not. We're not gonna let that happen. We're gonna unplug them before it does, right? Hopefully. But this is what most people think of when they think of agentic. What does agentic means? Comes from the root of agent or agency, right? To have the ability to act by itself. You tell it what to do, you give it this long list of instructions, and it goes off and does them and comes back and says, here's what I made for you. It has the ability to use other AI tools. It can research things, it can do all kinds of stuff with agency. So it has thinking, it has predictability, it has language, it has vision, and it can put all of these together to give you an output that you need. And it does it by itself. I use agents every day. I think today I did use one this morning to research a new laptop. So it's like, go find me the best MacBook Air that you can find at Micro Center. These are the specs I want. It went off, did all the research at all the different Micro Centers around the world, came back, said this is the best one, this is where you need to order from, this is how much it costs, here's the SKU number. So as we go through the presentation today, I want you to kind of think about these four basic types. And as you encounter scenarios that we're going to talk about, what would you apply? How would you use those in this scenario? But why does it matter? Why is AI important? Why do we need to have a fundamental understanding of what it is and what it can do when it comes to asset data capture and assets and maintenance reliability and everything that we have to do every day? I'm gonna say something next that you probably didn't expect to hear. Most of the AI out there today is not ready to be deployed at scale. And most of it is not ready for our industry because it doesn't know enough about it. Because this is the industry that technology forgot. Say that lovingly from someone who's been in it 28 years. I went through the digital transformation of paperwork orders to CMMSs. Guess what? We still carried around clipboards. We just printed the work orders out and still carried around clipboards, right? I mean, the other thing is that while these AI tools are getting better, they're just not there yet. And they can drive results, they can make us faster, they can give us great information, but if we don't know what to do with it, how are we going to use it to drive our bottom line? Because at the end of the day, that's all the C-suite wants to know is how's it gonna make us more money? How's it gonna make us more profitable? How's it gonna reduce risk, extend asset life, and improve our bottom line? Now there are companies at this event and others that are doing some amazing things with AI. Just hands down, they really are. And they're solving very large enterprise level problems at scale, and they're doing a good job of it. There are also very small companies like ours, like Allura, like Voxel, Vanta, and several others that have found a niche in which they can improve the lives of people in this one unique niche, right? So no matter how good any tool out there is though, just remember that most companies aren't ready for it, no matter how good the tool is, because they don't have a few things that's required. One, data infrastructure. They don't have a centralized data repository of all their information in one place. Now, EAM does a good job of that. Some MSs do a great job of that. But most organizations don't do a good job of putting that information in those systems. Again, the system can be great, but if you don't put the information in where it belongs, it's not going to do you any good. But most companies just can't scale it. And this next piece is going to surprise you. This is the McKinsey data. Oops, I skipped ahead on my notes. My bad. 1% of companies, 1%, that's it, are AI ready. Meaning they are ready to deploy AI at a point that can scale their business, impact the bottom line, and actually improve what they do. 1% of large companies. Now this isn't all companies in the world, it's large companies. So the top 500 companies in the world is what was measured. The other 99%, which is probably the majority of people that we run into every day, are stuck in some form of digital purgatory. They're stuck deploying trial after trial after trial, pilot after pilot, after failure after failure. And it's not because their people didn't understand the system. It's not because they didn't have good intentions. It's because they weren't ready for that solution. They didn't solve the problem. They were throwing technology at it. And we'll get into that here in a minute. They don't evolve their process to something better. The only way that anybody's ever improved anything and throughout history is by saying, what if we did it differently? We're not going to take this widget and turn it sideways. That doesn't make it any better. It's the same widget. It just looks sideways. If we take this widget and we change it and we make it more efficient, give it more teeth, more torque, whatever. Think about it. Horse and buggy, automobile. Bicycle, airplane. Those weren't happenstance, oh, I could put wings on my bicycle. No, it's what if I could fly? That's the inspiration. That is the phrase that sparks innovation. So if you ever find yourself asking, is there a better way? Lean into it, because there probably is, and you're on the brink of something amazing. Mentimeter quiz number 4. Let me pop that window back open. It makes me restart it every time the window closes. That's crazy. Have you ever faced a situation where equipment fails?
Thought there weren't any wrong answers.
Just pop that as incorrect.
Oh, wait, what?
I didn't do that. That's AI did that. Blame AI. That's not me. Have you ever faced a situation where equipment fails? You check the PM log and what happens? The notes say they were okay, the notes are incomplete, or they're just not even there. So vague, incomplete notes, right? I've lived this. My guys used to do it all the time. Equipment's good. What does good mean? What does it mean when something's okay? To you and I and to a technician, that's different things, right? It's a subjective measure of quality or readiness, even. So I'm gonna give you a scenario. Everybody good here? 23 out of 30. Okay, I'll leave it up a few more seconds. This is where the 99% of companies, large companies, live. They live in this space where equipment's failing, they don't have answers because they don't have data, right? And I bet some of you, if not all of you, can relate to this story. It's 6 a.m. on Saturday, it's your kid's Little League game, dance recital, Christmas ballet, whatever, and your phone rings. Hey boss, the chiller's down, or insert piece of equipment here. Your weekend plans are now gone. You have to tell your family, sorry, I gotta go in and fix this problem. Sound familiar? I've lived it. It sucks. You go in, you look at the notes, you see what's wrong. It's a bad bearing, motor's locked up. Guess what? Chillers are gonna be down on your critical infrastructure for a while. You're making phone calls to contractors. They're giving you emergency rates. Sound familiar? Yeah. Meanwhile, you're trying to talk to the technician about his notes or her notes, and it says, okay. Siemens studies show that this costs us 11% of our global revenue. 11%. That's a big amount of money. Think about a $50 billion corporation. 11%? That's a lot of money. Why? Why does it cost us this? Lack of good data creates unplanned downtime, right? That unplanned downtime is caused by manual fixes, gaps in data, and reactive work orders. They're going to happen, but if we can limit them, let's limit them. Now that in that same situation, you get the compressor fixed, you get it limping along, you've got service restored minimally, you've got a big fix planned, you're gonna have to do a shutdown, but at least you're limping along now. You go to your director of ops, your COO, whoever manages this for you, and you're like, hey, we've got a $40,000 repair now because of this unplanned outage. Well, didn't we just check that? We heard this earlier, right? I think in Greg's panel. Didn't we just check that with a PM? Yeah, but. What does yeah, but get met with? Yeah, but you're gonna have to pull it out of somewhere else in your operations budget because we don't have the money for an unplanned reactive fix of that size. I've heard that too, been told that. Find the money wherever you can in your ops budget. So McKinsey goes on to tell us deferred maintenance creates a 20 to 40% early failure in life cycle. 20 to 40%, it means you're not getting your whole investment out of it. It means you're writing a $40,000 check this month instead of $5,000 check for a maintenance repair. Now, AI tools can help us. Sensor data can be interpreted by AI to help us learn this. Thermal images can be interpreted by AI to help us tell this. Our tool, you can ingest notes, audio notes, into the video that you're taking of the asset. Your technician with 30 years of experience, he can dictate what it is. It can pull it right into the inspection report for you, right? No longer do you have okay, now you have an objective report of the asset's condition. And come to find out, that technician, the reason he wrote okay was he was covered up. He had 20 other work orders that day, and the KPIs were on the line, and that asset PM was due. So what did he do? Okay. He pencil whipped it. It's done. Okay. Met my KPIs, boss. Yeah, but then 2 weeks later, the asset failed. Did we really meet our KPI? No. We just checked the box. That's where SMRP tells us that 30% of our reactive maintenance is caused by lack of audit trails, poor documentation, right? And overworked technicians. They have too much to do. Why do they have too much to do? Because they spend too much time documenting and not enough time fixing. Sound familiar? What if none of this happened? Because what if you had access to tools and equipment that could prevent this from happening by alerting you early, telling you what needs to be done, and helping you make the decisions with intelligence, not just information. See, that's the difference between where the 99% are and the 1%. It's not luck. They don't just have bigger budgets. They don't have better technicians, vans are shinier. They have the right tools to give them the information and intelligence they need in a time they need it so they can make the decisions they need to. Saving that 11% of revenue. Reclaiming 85% of the time it takes to do documentation. Putting technicians back to tools in hand, getting stuff done, and making a difference in their environments. They've eliminated the labor tax while the 99% are still paying that labor to write things down. So that brings us to the question, what does it look like in practice? This is all great numbers, great statistics, but brass tacks, folks, how do we do it, right? Well, I've got a 4-step process for you. Step 1, assess the problem. And I was talking to someone last night, and I said the number one thing you have to do is solve the problem until it is dead, dead, dead. One problem that's impacting your organization today, how can you solve it using a different approach to your process? Whether that's AI or not. Let's put AI over here in a little box for a second, in this little black box, and forget about it. If you could take a process that's grinding your operation to a halt and improve it, what does that look like? That's step 1. Step 2, make a plan. Integration has to be a part of that plan. Like I said earlier, if you've got all this data spread all over the place and no way to connect it to your systems, it doesn't do you any good. Because if your EAM can't talk to your finance system, and your finance system is where you track loss and all of your asset depreciation, how does it know? It doesn't. Somebody has to have a manual report created and then send it to finance. And then finance has to manually enter that information in. Think about it. Integration has to talk. Step 3, upskill. This is probably the most important part of this entire process. Upskill your team. They have to be involved from day one. They have to understand why. Here's the question you should ask them. If you're thinking about any process improvement for anything in your organization, AI or not, software or not, go to your teams. Where does the process break down for you? Not where do I fail you, where does the process fail for you, the frontline employee who's out here grinding the gears every day? It's gonna do a couple of things. One, it's gonna buy you trust. Because they're gonna, oh, he actually cares about what's happening to me now. She's worried about my productivity and my health and well-being. It's also gonna buy you buy-in. Now they're involved in the process. And you keep that going as you integrate them into your plan, your data into your other systems. Now your people are connected as well, right? The last part of this is after you've identified the problem, you've built the team around it, and you're ready to scale it out to the organization, you have to build in continuous learning loops. Whether that's a human learning loop or an AI or some other software, you need a feedback loop. Say what's working, what's not. If it's AI, you can employ some of these predictive learning models and machine learning models to help you with these decisions. Don't trust it blindly, it will steer you wrong. Prompting is just as important as the question you ask, how you ask it, right? So treat these tools as junior employees. First time somebody shows up at your company on their first day, they know absolutely nothing except what they've read on your website. AI is exactly the same. They don't know your company politics, they don't know your processes, they don't know anything about your company other than what you have told them. Treat it as such. Once you're ready there, you can scale it. Now Bailey reminds us, don't forget about Bailey, that enterprise AI is not ChatGPT, is not Gemini. Those are tools built for and designed for personal use. They don't have the enterprise level security around them. You don't want to copy and paste a sensitive document into ChatGPT, and your floor plans count as sensitive documents. Don't do it. 80% of data breaches are copy-paste ChatGPT issues. 80%. Let that sink in for a second. People are well-meaning, but they're poor executors. The human in the loop is often the problem. All right, we talked about what it is, what it's not, talked about how to scale it. Now I want to show you 4 things that we have deployed and the actual results therein. This is Andrew. Andrew is a facility manager at a university. He is in an integrated facilities team. He has 17 buildings to take care of. There's about 1,200 beds in this housing facility that he manages. He has a team of 4 people. His days used to be filled with walking the hallways and writing things down, manually checking fire extinguishers, counting light bulbs. How do I know this was Andrew's life? Because I trained him. Andrew used to be my chief engineer. Andrew's now one of my customers. But I trained him how to do his job. And now he's using a tool to check the fire extinguishers monthly by taking a picture of it, capturing asset data plates with a video. Walking the halls monthly, he's able to do 17 building reports a month in about 45 minutes. Because all he has to do is walk and record a video and call out the things that are bad. For Andrew, this is a game changer. Because his days are no longer spent writing reports and sending them to the director. They automatically go to the director. The director has access to the dashboard. He can see it, he can hear it, he knows what's happening. And that means they can plan better, right? Thermal image analysis when he's got to do pump inspections or his 7dB inspections for all of his electrical safety annually. Thermal camera, upload to the platform. It's done in minutes. Does everybody know NFPA 7dB? Are you familiar with that? Couple of yeses, several no's.
Maintaining your electrical equipment essentially and standards for maintaining.
Yeah, it is the new standard. It was the suggested standard in 2023. In September of 2026, National Electric Code rolled out it as the law of the land. Not only do you have to do annual inspections on your critical and large electrical equipment, you have to document that you did it. You have to be able to prove that you did it with time-stamped verifiable data. Document any deficiencies, create a plan for them, and then follow up with the solution performed. That's hours of documentation, and it's expensive to hire a thermographer to come in and do that. These tools are helping people do that faster, right? Doesn't matter if it's a 400-ton chiller or a $10 alarm clock. We have the tools to do it today. All right, Mentimeter next quiz. We're almost done with the Mentimeter quizzes, y'all. The next quiz. In the past 12 months, how many emergency equipment failures did your team face that could have been prevented with better data? If you had the right or better information, could you have maybe intervened sooner? 10 plus. Wow. I feel for you, whoever you are. I've had that month for sure. I had when I was actually Andrew's supervisor, all of our fire risers were exterior closets on the buildings. And so the past few years when it got super cold, the first year it happened, we were having fire risers blow out because they were CPVC, right? They were just blown out. And so the first year I was there, I was like, hey, time out. These happens every time it gets below 25 degrees. Why don't we just put space heaters in these rooms? They didn't put heat, but there's an outlet. The next year we had 1. The first year I was there, we had 7. So just that simple bit of data was, oh, these are uninsulated exterior closets. Let's put a heater in there. You know? That was an expensive month. All right. The next thing, I want to introduce you to another person that we know. His name is Brent Ward. And Brent is a facilities consultant for Left Coast Facility Consulting. Yes, all the way over on the Pacific side. Brent had a 70,000 square foot religious facility that he had to document all of the assets in. They had 0 asset log. It was a major acquisition, and the acquiring party wanted to know every piece of equipment in the property. Brent's a solo guy. He's one-man show. So he doesn't have a team of people to send out to a site. He said, it's gonna take me 3 days on site. It's gonna take me 3 weeks after, and I'll get it done. Brent used our software. He called us up and said, dude, 4 hours, I'm done. He walked the whole site in 4 hours and captured over 100 assets. And that's his actual part, that's a screenshot of the actual asset log that he pulled out. That's some of the 100. It's about all that would fit on the screen. I can scroll it over and it'll have electrical capacities, data manufacturers, all of that, right? Everything you need for that asset data capture. In minutes, 4 hours. What was he able to do? Upsell his customer. Hey, I can do thermal while I'm here. It's California after all. You need NFPA 70B coming up next year. Why don't I just go ahead and get you a baseline report now? Boom, upsell. Boom. Hey, while I'm here, I can have some structural guys come and take a look at this too. Boom, upsell. He was able to provide additional value to his client because he was already there and he had the extra time. He'd already booked the hotel, he'd already booked his flights. It was more expensive to change all that, and now he can make a little extra money. Now this is back to university housing. And this is a case for continual condition assessments. Everybody's probably familiar with facility condition assessment, a process you do on a 3, 5, 7, or 10-year basis to get a baseline report of your facility, where it is, how it stands, get an FCI, what's my asset conditions. It's a snapshot in time over this wide area. What AI is giving this client the ability to do is continual condition assessments. They can track it on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, whatever they want to, their frequency, just by walking through the facility like Andrew was doing. Same thing. This 5 college campuses, over 1.2 million square feet, 9,000 heads and beds, something like 36 buildings, no, 56 buildings, sorry. It's a lot. They've never had visibility into what was happening because it just took too long. They'd get it every 3 years, they'd come through and get an FCA done. But then what happens? It sits in a PDF or it sits in a file drawer, and how often has any facility manager actually pulled out their FCA and going, oh, I think I need to replace this because the FCA says so. I never did. And I was at FM for a long time. Never used it. We took a process for their summer term, that 9,000 beds. They have 3 months, actually about 70 days, not even the full 3 months, about 70 days, that they have to inspect, turn those rooms, and have them ready for move-in. Anybody who's ever had a kid in college or gone to college understands summer term, right? It was taking them around 6,000 hours of labor to do this. 1 4-bedroom, 4-bath apartment took 6 hours alone, combined documentation, inspection, all of that. We were able to drop that time all the way down to 1,313 minutes, from 9,000 to, or 6,000 to 1,000. That means their teams can get started making repairs on day 1 instead of day 14. The other thing it means is they can get that documentation to the university, which is a contractually obligated piece of their contract, within the 10-day window. Because the university has to take that information and put holds on accounts, fine students, recoup losses, right? But they have to do it before graduation or they miss their window. So it's 10 days. That's all they have. Now they can do it. Before they couldn't. The first time they did it, they recouped from one campus, because I saw the report, $27,000 in damages for the university on one campus. These are the big things that we can do instead of having to grind it out. Talked a little bit about the thermal. This is just a slide from Brent on the thermal imaging. The left photo is a thermal image taken with a Photric camera, so it takes a standard JPEG and a thermal image side by side. These are both that image. And the text is kind of small. The coating on the pump housing is severely degraded, which may compromise its insulative protective function. The motor and mounting skid show signs of surface corrosion and should be addressed to prevent further deterioration. This unit is operating at an elevated temperature of 134.9 degrees on that hotspot. Requires monitoring and comparison against manufacturer requirements to rule out potential mechanical failure. Right there it says, hey, I see an anomaly. Go check the specs, dude. If this is out of specs, you got a problem. And I think those of us who are familiar with motors, even though I'm a carpenter, I always like a brush, probably a bad brush, hot spot on a commutator, something like that. I used to build motors when I was in high school. So that's the kind of thing that AI saw, that he didn't have to then sift through 500-600 pictures and zoom in. He didn't have to do that. AI called it out. Now he can look at the pictures that he needs to, or the video timestamps that he needs to determine exactly what needs to be done. I promised you time for questions, and we're going to have it. 3,400 years. The process hasn't changed. We observe, we document, we transcribe, we input, we repeat. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to do it different. Faster, more efficiently, and put our technicians back to the jobs we hired them to do. For the first time, we have the opportunity to change how we do it. It started in the book of Leviticus 3,000 years ago. Today, you can help be the change for tomorrow. Here's my source data. If anybody wants to take a picture of this, all the surveys, everything that we use for all the data. There's one last Mentimeter quiz slide that we'll get to. And next slide. Where is your company? After everything you've seen today, where does your company fall on the McKinsey report? Your guess, just curious, where you think you are on that McKinsey report. Are you mature? Are you stuck in digital purgatory? You have no AI in your organization? That's okay too. Or are you just starting your journey? All right, most of you are starting your journey, and that's great. I'm so excited to see that. Some of you aren't there yet, and that's okay. Maybe there's just not a place for AI in your organization. Maybe you don't have a need for it. That's okay. Awesome. Well, everybody, I'm Billy Holder. And I've been a facility manager and a construction individual for 28 years. And that's my dog Bailey, and I love him very much, and I miss him a lot. We are Project Aidra, and we invite you to connect with us. My QR code's on the right to my LinkedIn. Our company QR code is on the left, or your right, my left. Get those backwards sometimes. We invite you to come with us. Together, we can be the asset champions of tomorrow, today. Thank you.